Hi, Uma. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. And I would like to understand your journey in your words. I'm very intrigued because you sound like a very peaceful, wise soul who has chosen a new path for herself. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Uh, yes, very happy to share. My friends, they don't see me as peaceful. They see me very, very dynamic and sometimes a bit impossible. But yes, part of me has the both of it. That there is a sense of wisdom in which I have confronted, and it's grace of the mother that she has given that. But I am by nature very dynamic, and I do multiple things and projects and activities, and I run a unit or a conscious clothing brand called Upasna. I run many social projects for primarily for women empowerment and craft empowerment, farmers, cotton farmers, and I've been active in Oroville life in administration. I've been making movies and writing a lot and do coaching, teach in design schools in India. So pretty handful of things. I came to Oroville from Delhi. So I have been living in Delhi, working in Delhi, got my design education in Delhi, graduated from an institute called NIFT. It is a fashion design premium institute of India where I studied design and primarily clothing and textile, and that had been my forte before I came to Oroville. And Oroville, I came in 96 to do a design project for 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks is still on. So, kind of 96 onwards, I live in the forest of Oroville and never really looked back. Never, not for a single day that life could have been something else. So I do feel very, very fortunate to able to take a life decision of this kind with so effortlessly. I know it takes so much time for people to take that decision, or even not able to. I've seen people waiting for 30 years, 40 years, got married, had children, grown up children, got settled, and this whole sense of that one day they would go. And in my journey, it was 2 weeks, and now it's 25 years, and I have not blinked. So I just see there is a grace of divinity had been from very beginning, that I'm just fortunate to be able to take decision on that so much swiftness and ease, which is not so for rest of the people. I see them struggling. And I also feel very fortunate that I didn't think of this scarcity mindset never touched me. So even though I came to Oroville as a professional and young professional, which didn't have a much of a bank balance of anything of like that, and if I had stayed in Delhi and worked over there, I would have created. But this sense of seeking security and seeking sense of peace through material thing was never my need, and I do feel very fortunate about that. I guess it's a space which also has a divine protection, that I'm protected from it. I always have lived in the space of generosity and abundance, and for me it's an inner space, and it is no matter what, I thrive into that. I claim the planet. I always live in that space. So this is my inner status. Oroville life had been very, very meaningful, and I saw myself as an instrument, and I also saw how this instrument was animated. So the kind of work has been delivered through the organization I led is it's phenomenal to one level. And knowingly that we just live in a small community in the forest and blah blah. So have been having a very active life, and during COVID that turned around to be very awakening a space for me. And that's not that I had planned for. I always had that space, but I never had put in front so much. But during COVID, that came, the sense of presence, and confronting my own sense of presence and having this courage to own that was a huge thing. It was overwhelming, gratifying, and deeply aligning in one sense. And that brought me into having conversation around presence, and we brought alignment in many of our friends and co-traveler I met online and around in my life. So we took that journey, and in between that I went through myself in a learning space. And all these years, to one level, I was more in the space of giving and teaching, be design or coach, executive, or do things. But it was, I wasn't the one who was learning. I was more of the one who was giving. And this year I signed up to be a intermodal expressive arts student. I became a student and did 100 hours course in expressive art, and that further down deepened the space of presence in my conversation and session I took. And with Claudia and me, we explored many dimension of that. So sum total, this is where right now I am in. I'm very actively creating a platform for as a social enterprise to support artisans. And I believe that future is far more conscious and mindful in many aspects. It's not just the inner aspect which is mindful. It is very mindful in a very material sense as well.